Morning, Coach.
Good morning.
We'll talk about the first half of Saturday's 47-26 win over Martin Luther in a bit, but I want to focus specifically on the second half of that game, if you will, and I don't want you to think I'm jumping to the negatives right away, but what changed in that second half, both for you and for Martin Luther?
Yeah, I mean, they're a team that never is going to quit, as you could see by the very end of the game. They get a lot out of their players as a coaching staff. We made a few mistakes. I know I did on the defensive side of the football. Certainly our players made a few mistakes here and there. We didn't make major mistakes, but Martin Luther knows how to move the football on offense, and you can't make really too many mistakes, or they'll put the ball in the end zone if you let them.
Being that you're more of a defensive-minded coach, I know your head was turned towards your defensive huddles when Northwestern was on offense. And with that being said, was it part of the game plan to throw as little as you guys did? You had 14 passing attempts, 7 completions, 5 of actually went for touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't know. I let Brian Johnson and his staff kind of put together the game plan on offense. Didn't know what it was. We've been very effective throwing and running the football this year, so I guess it didn't surprise me when you're running the football well. There's not always a lot of reason to throw the ball, and so I'm sure when Coach Johnson chose to throw the ball as he did, that it was going to be judicious and big plays were going to happen, and that was in his game plan, and then it all worked out that way as well.
Given that Martin Luther throws so many offensive formations at any given team, not just Northwestern, how do you feel your defense did against the Knights? And did you see any formations from them that you hadn't seen yet on film this year?
No, we didn't see a whole lot of formations on Saturday. In fact, they really limited their formations. So, but you have to be ready. Whether they have 35 formations or they have 3, you got to be ready for all of them. And I felt like we were ready for them. It ends up taking a lot of time dealing with the formations that you didn't see in a game, but you have to, prepare.
This week, you make your final long drive of the regular season to take on Eureka College in Illinois. And most of our viewers have probably gotten the vibe that Eureka is primarily a pass-first team with Sam Durley under center. What makes you stay awake at night more? All of Martin Luther's different looks or Eureka's passing attack?
Yeah, they both teams can keep you up at night. There's no doubt about that. Martin Luther with their option attack, and they can throw the football fairly well as well, and certainly Durley and his crew, the Red Devils, know how to throw the football and move the football. They've done well. They were down by quite a bit and came back at a mad rush against Greenville this last weekend, and so we know what they're capable of, no doubt.
Eureka played at Greenville this last Saturday, and after Greenville led 35-0 in the second quarter, the game finished with Eureka coming just a touchdown short of the Panthers in a 42-35 final score. With Eureka's ability to bounce back in games, which we've seen this year, and dare I say your vulnerability to give up a few points of any kind in the second half, is it fair to ask if that should be a concern?
It's obviously something you got to take a look at. Some of our games at the end of the game, we've put in our younger kids, and I know the Morris game, they had their starters in the whole game. We had our backups in, and so those kinds of things happen. But and when you're on the road against Eureka, I mean, it's a tough place to play, but we're excited about going down there and playing football against Eureka. But yeah, they certainly have a lot of capabilities to do things, whether it's right away in the first quarter or the fourth quarter like they did this last weekend.
What's the most important thing your team must improve upon from last Saturday in order to win this week?
Yeah, I think we're a little on edge. I know I get a little on edge some different games throughout the season, and that probably shows up a little bit on the sideline and during the game, things of that nature. So I'd like for that to dissipate, no doubt, starting with the head coach.
Let's talk a little bit about some players on your team that may not get their name published as much as others and as much as they probably should, and that being the offensive line. Northwestern has nearly doubled its opponents in total rushing yards this season. Tell me about the contributions of those front 5 from your perspective.
Yeah, Ryan Friesen is kind of the senior that's been around the block there, has done a great job of leadership with those guys. Evan Volker, who we moved over there a year or two ago to the offensive line, has done a nice job at right guard. We moved Cassidy Cook, a couple-year starter at defensive tackle for us, and moved him over there. I feel like that was a great move for our whole team, although I know it was hard for him initially. It was great to have Justin Morin back and Connor Leach as well. And so those guys have done a tremendous job. I know Coach Johnson is very pleased with the work that Coach Wilmoth has done with those men. And it's exciting to just kind of see how much better that we can get there.
Finishing on a little bit of a lighter note, I have to ask, what is your favorite song on Northwestern's pregame warm-up playlist? And if you could add any one song to that list, what would you put on it?
Yeah, my favorite song, to be honest, I can't remember any of the songs. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to it except for in the moment, so I couldn't tell you any of the songs that are in the pregame. I know our seniors put it together. I'd have to always go with Roll with the Changes. I know that's one Dr. Hill loves, and it's a very, very appropriate for football. Roll with the Changes.
Awesome.
REO Speedwagon.
Awesome. Well, make it a great day, Coach. We'll see you next Monday.
Thanks.